Hello, Mississippi. Hello. Thank you, thank you. Thank you all for coming. All right, before we get started, could we have the volume back up on the thing? Okay, good. All right, let's just get started. see if you can guess who this person is right here. Yep. This is this is me. This picture was taken about 50 years ago when I was 3, and as you can probably tell by the happy face I had, I was a pretty happy little guy. I was always smiling, always laughing, always having a good time, all the time. So very, very happy. And then school started. I'm not too sure what it was about school that wiped the smile off my face so successfully, but part of it might have had something to do with the fact that I was diagnosed with something called ADHD. Have you ever heard of ADHD? Anybody? Some of you have? Okay. If you haven't, it just stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Delightfulness. And that, okay, so you have, okay. Well, because of my ADHD, I had a few challenges when I was in school, just a few. Like I had some behavior problems, and I was a little restless, and I was disruptive in class, and couldn't sit still very well, and I was easily distracted and disorganized and compulsive and fidgety. And I had some reading problems, and I learned differently as a daydreamer in class. Oh, and a smart aleck, and I didn't use my time very wisely, and I didn't. My work was incomplete, and I was constantly sent to the principal's office, and I was one or two problems, challenges, as you can see, but so as a kid, I was a little discouraged, but there were 3 things in my life, 3 really, really important things that changed everything for me when I was a kid. And they're easy to remember because they all start with the letter P. The first one is positivity. And that basically means having a good attitude all the time, even if things aren't going your way. And when I was in kindergarten, and in 1st grade, it was super easy for me to be positive because I had 2 teachers who I loved, and they loved me too. So it was easy for me to be positive when things were going well. But when I got into 2nd grade, everything changed. I had a teacher who was not very fond of me, and she used to make fun of me because I have dyslexia, and I wasn't able to read as well as everyone else, and she would always take my drawings away from me, and she would rip them up in front of everybody, and she was always getting really angry with me, and I don't even know why, because I never did anything. It was like, one day, I didn't do anything. All I did was I just borrowed 2 pens from her desk. That's all I did. I just borrowed 2 pens. And then I stuck them up my nose. I'm not, I don't know why I thought that was a good idea, but I did. And but she got very, very upset. And it makes no sense to me because I gave them back. It's like... And then another time, it was winter. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, so it was very cold and snowy, and I went outside, and I didn't even do anything. All I did was I made 2 snowballs. That's all I did. And then I brought them back into the classroom, and I put them in her boots. And at the end of the day, she was really mad at me, and I don't know why. I have no idea. But and then there was another time, I didn't even do anything. All I did was I took our hamster out of the cage in the classroom. Very carefully, very gently, I took him out of the cage because I thought he might like to play in her purse. And I don't know why she got so angry. Maybe she's just not an animal lover. I don't know why. But one day, she just got kind of tired of my monkey business, and she went to the back of the classroom, and she found a desk that nobody was using, and she took the desk out into the hallway, and that's where she made me sit almost all the time, because I was pretty disruptive in the class. And so I sat out there a lot, and I started to feel a little bit like a misfit, like maybe there was something wrong with me. You know, I couldn't behave, I couldn't control myself, and maybe I was a bad kid. And I was hoping that things would get better when I got into the 3rd grade, but they didn't really. I had a new teacher. His name was Mr. Oddie. That was his real name. And he found a way to make me feel all alone and isolated inside the classroom. What he did is he put my desk right next to his, and then he moved everyone else's desk really far away so I wouldn't be able to talk to anyone or borrow a pencil or anything. And once again, I felt very alone. I felt lonely. I felt like maybe something was wrong with me. Maybe I was a bad kid. It's kind of sad. Would you like to know how I made things worse? Okay, all right. Well, I was sitting up there at Mr. Adi's desk, and I noticed that he had a very professionally engraved nameplate that he had made. And I'm not sure what Mr. Adi's first name was, but I do know it started with the letter P. I'm not sure what he was thinking when he had this professionally engraved nameplate made, but maybe you all can help me with this. Let's say your last name was Adi, and your first name started with the letter P. You put a P in front of Adi, what would you get? Yeah. That's just what I was thinking. And I thought it might be a good idea to share that information with my classroom. So I said, hey, everybody. Hey, look, everybody. Our teacher's name is Mr. Potty. And everyone thought that was pretty funny. Okay, not everyone. Mr. Adi did not think that was funny, and and he took me out into the hallway and slammed the door. And once again, I was sitting out there by myself through 3rd and 4th grade, and feeling like a misfit, feeling like the bad guy. And I think the worst thing about it is I started to ask myself a lot of bad questions, like why me, and what's wrong with me. And I think the bad thing about asking bad questions is that sometimes you can come up with some pretty bad answers. And that was what was happening with me. I would come home from school. I remember sometimes I'd be feeling like so discouraged and so sad. And I was getting really, really negative and thinking, why am I the only one who has ADHD? How come I'm the only one who can't read as well as everyone else? But as bad as things were, I was very lucky because I have the most positive mom in the world. She knew I was having a lot of trouble in school, and she thought that maybe I was just asking the wrong questions. And she said to me, she taught me this really cool trick. Anytime something bad is going on in your life, there's really only one question that you need to ask yourself, and that is, how can I turn this into something good? How can I turn this bad thing into something good? And at first, I wasn't sure. You know, my mom teaching me this question. I wasn't sure what can you do with a mean teacher and a very discouraged little boy and another mean teacher. But the more I asked that question, the more I started to come up with some answers. You know, like I started to rearrange my thoughts, and I started to use my creativity and my imagination, and I started to take these negative things from my childhood and turn them into stories. And that's exactly how the Captain Underpants books came about. They was sort of my way of taking something bad and turning it into something good. Now, how many of you have read Dogman? You've seen Dogman, right? You know Dogman? Okay, good, go. Oh, thank you. Well, that means you know Petey, right? You know Petey the cat? Okay. Well, Petey, believe it or not, is based on me. Petey is a lot like I was when I was in 2nd and 3rd grade. Petey thinks he's the bad guy. He thinks he might not be able to change. Maybe there's something wrong with him. And the nice thing about Petey, though, is he has somebody very positive in his life, too. He has a little kitten, little Petey, someone who believes in him, someone who believes that not only can he change, but that he can become a better version of himself if he really, really tries. And so I think in a very real way, the relationship between Petey and little Petey was kind of based on the relationship between my mom and myself. So positivity really, really started to change my life. The next thing that starts with the letter P that was super important, I think you probably already know. Let's say, not basketball, but let's say that you wanted to play basketball and you wanted to be a pro or a pro at anything. What would you have to do every single day? That's right. You would have to practice. And practice was super, super important to me when I was a kid. This is one of the comics that survived my childhood. This is a comic I made about a character named Dogman, and I made this in second grade. And as you can see, it's okay for a second grader. The drawings are okay, but I didn't want to just be okay. I wanted to improve, and so I practiced all the time, and that's something that you can kind of see in the Captain Underpants books, and also in Dogman. If you look at the comic books that George and Harold made when they were kids, their comics were okay when they first started out. They weren't bad, but the spelling was a little off, and the drawings were a little bit like stick figures, and George and Harold weren't content to just be okay. They wanted to improve, and so they practice, and they practice and practice, and the more they did, you can see it in their work. Their spelling starts to improve, and their drawings improve, and their coloring improves, and before you know it, their vocabulary is improving, and even their ideas improve because they practice, practice, practice. Now, the third thing that starts with the letter P is a pretty big word, persistence. And if you don't know this word, it basically means never giving up, even if things are really, really tough. And this is a huge lesson that I learned when I was about 30 years ago. I was working on one of my very first books called "'Twas the Night Before Thanksgiving." And like a lot of kids here, when I first made this book, I made a rough draft. And so this is my rough draft, and I put it into an envelope, and I mailed it to a publisher because I wanted it to be a real book. And I was so excited because about 2 weeks after I mailed it in, that publisher sent me a letter in the mail. And I was so happy. I opened up the letter, and they didn't like my book. They sent it back. They rejected it. I was very discouraged, but I thought, I am not going to give up. And I took that comic, and I put it in a second envelope, and I mailed it to a second publisher. And 2 weeks later, they wrote back to me, and I was so excited, and they didn't like it either. So I took that story and I put it into a third envelope. I thought, I'm going to give it one more shot. And I sent it to a third publisher, and I'm so happy because 2 weeks later, they wrote back to me, and they didn't like it either. So I sent it to a fourth publisher, and a fifth publisher, and a sixth publisher, and a seventh, and eighth, and ninth, and 10th, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 23 publishers. 23 publishers did not like my story. 23 publishers sent it back, said no thank you. And I was so discouraged, but I did not give up. I sent it to a 24th publisher. And when they wrote back to me, I wasn't expecting too much. But they liked it. They wanted to turn it into a book. I got so excited that my head exploded. Oh, all right. Full disclosure, my head did not really explode, but I'm so happy. I'm so glad that I didn't give up, because if I had given up, this book never would have been published. In fact, none of these books would ever have been published if I'd given up, and there would not have been a Captain Underpants movie. And oh, thank you, thank you. You guys, thank you. So, but that's sort of, why persistence was so important, because, all these wonderful things came out of that. The TV show and the Dogman musical, which is going to be going around the country, and it all happened because I was persistent. But I think of all the things that have happened since that time, my favorite thing is coming to places like Mississippi and meeting all you wonderful people. This is the best part of my job, and so I thank you all for showing up today. Thank you so much for coming. Stop. So speaking of my job, I've been working on the Dogman books lately, and the newest Dogman book just came out. It's called Dogman For Whom the Ball Rolls. And in this book, Petey is still kind of on his journey to become a better version of himself. And luckily for Petey, he still has a very, very positive person in his life. He still has someone in his life who loves him. And I think love is kind of the theme of this book in a way. Throughout the story, the characters discover that kindness and love and goodness are not just things that we feel, but they're also things that we need to do. Because I think if we all try to do good, if we all try to love and to be kind, we can not only create better versions of ourselves, but also better versions of the world. Now, I'm going to draw some pictures, but before I do have one last thing to show you. It's kind of a secret, but I have one more book coming out this year. It hasn't come out yet. It comes out in December. It's another Dogman book. Would you guys like to see some of it? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Well, the new book is going to be called Fetch 22. and okay, I'll just get into it. It's basically a story about a children's television host called the Fair Fairy, and she kind of has a really bad temper. And one day she kind of loses her cool, and she just screams, "Enough!" And she goes out for a walk to cool herself off, and she comes across 22 baby tadpoles. And these tadpoles are kind of a little negative, just like she is. But fortunately, none of them have any superpowers, so everything should probably be just fine. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, Dogman has been put on a special assignment. He must find every single super brain dot in the city and collect all of them in his little red wagon. You see, super brain dots are very, very dangerous. If someone accidentally comes in contact with a super brain dot, they could be transformed into an evil villain with psychokinetic powers. It's a good thing that the super brain dots are safe with Dogman and Chief, though. Nothing bad is ever going to happen as long as they're keeping an eye on those super brain dots. Hey! The wagon's rolling away! Get it, Dogman! Boing! Oh no! The super brain dots. They're flying through the sky. I sure hope they don't land in that pond with all those tadpoles because, oh no! Blip, blop, blip, blop, 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 blip, 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 blop, blop, blop. Now, what will happen when 22 angry tadpoles with psychokinetic powers turn an ordinary giant tree into a living, breathing, incredibly evil, unstoppable monstrosity? Is this the end of civilization as we know it? Will the forces of evil overtake our planet? Who will stop the doom and destruction? This looks like a job. This looks like a job for the Super Buddies. Thank you. So that is Fetch 22. If you want to find out what happens, I'm sorry you have to wait till December 10th, 2019. But before I draw my pictures, I just would like to introduce you to one person. This is my mom. She's still a very, very positive influence on my life, and she not only taught me about the importance of the 3 P's, but she also taught me the very most important question to ever ask when things are going bad, and that is, how can I turn this into something good? All right, let's switch things around now a little bit and draw some pictures. Now, often when an author will come to an event, the audience will ask questions of the author, but we're going to switch things around today, and I'm going to ask questions and see how much you all know. And if you get the answer right, I have a couple friends who are going to be going through the audience and checking on people who have their hands raised who know the answers. Would you like to see what you get if you win? Okay. You get this bag filled with a Dogman plushie. And let's see, we have a little Petey plushie. Oh, wait, that's not it. This might be easier. There we go. Okay. We have a little Petey plushie, a cat kid. We have a Dogman hat. We have a Dogman wristwatch. And, thank you. From Captain Underpants, we have an entire bag full of 3D hypno rings that you can use to hypnotize anybody you like. Oh, that's like, all right. So, my first drawing. Can everyone see okay? Should I move this back? Can you all see over there? Okay. Here, let me move this back. Okay. My first drawing is going to be of Captain Underpants. And what I like to do is I like to do a little bit of warm-up drawing to warm up my hand. And so I try to draw really, really quickly. I can usually draw Captain Underpants in 40 seconds. Let's see if I can beat my record today. So you all count out loud when I start drawing, okay? Is everybody ready? 1, 2, 3. 35 seconds. A new world record. Okay, and our first question is about Captain Underpants. In the Captain Underpants books, there is a principal named Mr. Krupp who is very, very mean. Does anybody know? Please raise your hand if you know. Don't shout it out. What happens to Mr. Krupp when he hears this noise? When he hears someone snap their fingers, what happens to him? That is correct. He turns into Captain Underpants. Very good. Let's have a hand for our first winner. All right. Should we do another one? One more? Okay. You don't have to count out for this one. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about these guys. Because a lot of people ask me about these two fellows right here. People ask me if I ever knew anybody quite like these two guys I'm drawing. And the answer is yes, because I know myself. These guys are based on me when I was a kid. They're both a lot like me. They both have ADHD like I do. They both make comics like I always have. They sometimes get in trouble at school like I used to. And they both use their creativity and their imagination to make the world a little happier, which I hope I do that as well. All right, so these are the two fellows we're going to talk about today, and I have a question for you about them. Is there anyone out there who knows their names? Did we get it? George and Harold, that is correct. Congratulations to our second first prize winner. All right. Shall we do another one? One more? Okay. Let's switch it up. Let's go to Dogman for a second. In the Dogman stories, there is a robot. Wait. Don't shout out the answer. Don't shout it out, because you don't want to give the answer away to somebody else. And also, we can only call on people who have their hands raised quietly, so. All right. So this fella, this robot, is sort of based on my childhood because you might remember I said I have ADHD, and I had it when I was a kid. And back in those days, 50 years ago, nobody knew a whole lot about ADHD. And a lot of people thought it was a bad thing. But fortunately, people have learned a lot more since those days. And they've discovered that ADHD can actually be a very good thing. It's just a different way of thinking, actually. And it's good to think differently. So, I wanted to create a character that kind of expressed that idea. Does anyone know his name? That is correct. ADHD. Very good. Congratulations to our third first prize winner. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next, we are going to go up to the balcony to give the people in the balcony. My friend Lizette is up there. She's going to be looking for someone who has their hands raised. Quietly. This next guy. This is somebody. This is somebody who's very special to me because he's kind of based on my mom. He has a very, very positive attitude. And he's always helping Petey to become a better version of himself. So I kind of made this guy based on my mom. And let's look up there. Is there anyone up there who knows? Where's Lizette? Where's Lizette? Oh, is there anyone who knows his name? Little Petey is correct. Very good. Congratulations. All right. We have time for one last one. I think we'll do the balcony one more time. I'm going to do a super hard one. This one is incredibly hard. This is a guy I have been drawing since I was 8 years old. Is there anyone up there who knows this guy's name? Dogman is correct. Congratulations to our final prize winner. Congratulations. All right. Thank you all for being such a great audience. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we're leaving. So I think I'm going to get a chance to meet all of you. I'm really looking forward to that. I'll see you soon. Okay. Bye-bye.